Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalam ala ashraf al-mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. We're going to go over today, inshallah, in very brief manner, the method of performing the Umrah in accordance to the Qur'an and the Sahih Hadith, the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So we begin first and foremost, remembering that Umrah is an ibadah, it's something that is a worship, it's not a vacation, so you need to treat it as. And it has rules and regulations. It has rules and regulations. For it to be accepted, like for salah and zakah and things, you have to follow the rules and regulations. The first thing we'll discuss is what are the Arkan of Umrah. Tell you what are the pillars, what is a must in the Umrah. So the first thing, and there are four that you will memorize inshallah. The first thing, the Ihram. Tell you, and I want to make a point here. Many people that take groups for Hajj and Umrah and are not concerned about the Shari'i ahkam of it, they ruin your Hajj and Umrah, and you will be held accountable and they will be held accountable on the Day of Judgment. So we don't want to do that here. We want to do it in accordance to the correct way. The Ihram has to be put on before the Miqat, before you cross the Miqat. For those living in Mecca, it's different. For those that are in Hijaz, there are different things. But for us that are going to be coming, we're going to be crossing the Miqat, you have to have the Ihram on before you cross the Miqat. That means your niyyah, the rules of Ihram, what you can wear, all of that starts for the Miqat. What we see a lot of people doing is they're in a plane, and if you land in Jeddah, you're going to cross the Miqat that you have before you get to Mecca. You're going to get it before the airport. So what people do is they don't worry about it, and then they freak out on the plane. And then they're getting naked and then changing on the plane, and then don't do this. Alright? What you need to do is your last station before you get on the plane for Jeddah. Like for example, if you're in Abu Dhabi or Dubai or Turkey or wherever, at that place, make your ghusl, put on your clothing for Ihram from there. So when you're crossing over the Miqat, before you land in Jeddah, you will already have everything ready. You will renew your niyyah from the Miqat, but you will have everything ready. Don't try to change on the plane, please. It's disgusting. Tayyib. Now, the next issue about Ihram. Some people think that the rules of Ihram start from Mecca. They do not. The rules of Ihram start from the Miqat. Tayyib. So when you get to the Miqat, everything, like for the men, and we'll cover the rules for covering the head and all that, starts from there. Last time I went for Umrah, there were people that they wore the Ihram, but they were wearing their Qulansuwa, what we call Kufi, all the way to Jeddah. And I was telling them after Miqat that you can't be covering your head, and they were like, we're not in Mecca yet. So, also one of the time when I was coming from Medina, we crossed the Miqat, and there was brothers who was on a bus, they didn't change. And in Medina, when you're coming, the bus stops at the Miqat, and we went, took a shower, put on, they didn't change. When we entered Mecca, they started to put on their Ihram on a bus. So we told them, no, now you have fidya and all these issues to deal with, which we hope we don't have to deal with. So make sure, especially the brothers that are going with us in Abu Dhabi, when you're there, take your shower, there are showers at the airports, put on your Ihram, make your niyyah, and be ready. So when you cross the Miqat, you only make your niyyah again there, you will not have to then freak out. Tayyib, the next rukn from the Arkan of Umrah is the Tawaf. Making Tawaf around al-Bayt. And there is many sunan. I'm just going over the Arkan right now. Tayyib, the Tawaf is from the Arkan of Umrah. The Sa'i, going between Safa and Marwa, this is from the Arkan. And then cutting or shortening your hair is from the Arkan. These four things are the bare minimums of Umrah. I'm not saying that's all you do, but this is what you must do. These are Arkan. If you violate these, it's a big problem. How to fix it is a long, detailed discussion. The niyyah should be made, and this is one of the times when Hajj and Umrah that you make your niyyah out loud. Regularly, like for Salah, you don't make niyyah out loud. The place of the niyyah is the heart. But this is one of the things where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he made the niyyah out loud. You can do it at your last rest stop and then renew it and say it again when you're crossing the Miqat. As long as you make your niyyah before the Miqat, you're good. Tayyib. Where are the different Miqat? Inshallah, on a map we can go over it, but you don't really need to be concerned about it, because for you, you're going to be going on a plane to Jeddah. If you're going to Jeddah, then before Jeddah you will cross the Miqat. and they'll make an announcement, and you should know that you're crossing the Miqat. If you go to Medina, then on the way they tell you where the Miqat is, that's your Miqat. Now, what is the niyyah? You say, Labbaik Allahumma bil Umrah. If you're going for Hajj, and depending on tamattu or not, you have Allahumma Labbaik bil Hajj. But here you're going for Umrah, then you say Allahumma Labbaik bi Umrah. Performing ghusl when you're putting your ihram is mustahab. Making 2 rak'ah and things, these are things that are mustahab. And many of the ulama have discussed this. From the time when you make your niyyah, the rules of ihram, they get into place, and you should then, after crossing the miqat, start making the talbiyah. What is the talbiyah? Labbaik, Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wal ni'mata laka wal hamd, laka wal mulk, la sharika lak. These are the talbiyat. And there are other adhkar with it that are mentioned. All of those you can make. The men should make the talbiyah out loud. The men, they should make it out loud. Not for 10 seconds, not for a few minutes, as much as you can. Okay, what we see all the time, when you get to the miqat, everybody labbaik, Allahumma labbaik, labbaik, la sharika laka labbaik, and in a few minutes, and then they go back to not doing it. No, the entire time until you get to Makkah, you should be making the talbiyah. Okay, as much as you can. If you get tired, you stop, it's okay, but try. The men should be doing it out loud, women should be doing it silently. You do not have to do it in unison. Please. You do not have to do it all together. This has become almost a bid'ah in our time, where everybody has to do it together. Your talbiyah is yours. Now, if you're saying it and people are saying it at the same time, nothing wrong with that. But you don't have to do it at the same time. Everybody makes their own. Women, you have to do it too, but silently. Men, you should do it out loud. Ihram. When you enter a state of ihram, you're gonna first perform ghusl. This is mustahab. The man and the woman, even if she is hayd or in case of nifas, she performs the ghusl. We'll discuss about some exceptions later. Now, for the man, it's mustahab to put perfume, and they can put it on the body. Now, if you put atar or perfume on your ihram before you enter the state of ihram, this is jaiz. Once you enter, then you will not be putting atar and things on anymore. For the men, you can have the scent, but you shouldn't color it. And for the woman, if they apply something with color, they can do it, but they shouldn't scent their ihram. Once in a state of ihram, you will not be putting on perfume. Men, women, no more atar once you're in a state of ihram. Tayyib, what about deodorants? What about any of these things? If it has a pleasing smell, you cannot use it. If it's just like talcum powder or something that stops the odor smell, and it doesn't have a smell of its own, there is jawaz on this. Tayyib. If you use, for example, they have those little napkins that they give you at the plane when you're going, and it has a smell and the smell stays on you, you cannot do it in ihram. Tayyib. Now if there is soap, soap has its own smell, that's fine, but if it's scented, it's better you don't mess with scented soap, even though that gets washed off, but if it stays in your body, it can be a problem. Tayyib. Making 2 rak'ah after entering the state of ihram, as we mentioned, there are some dalail that point towards this, and the ulama have mentioned this. Things that are forbidden in ihram, those things that you cannot do in ihram. For the men, you will wear the izar and the rada. In essence, there is not a hadith that clearly says this is all you can wear, but Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbid the silwar and other types of clothing, and the ulama, looking at everything that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbid, they derived a very important usul, that you don't wear stitched clothes for men. You will be wearing unstitched clothes. So even the izar will not be stitched up. It will be loose. And the rida that goes on top, so 2 pieces is for the men. No underwear, no boxers, no t-shirts, no wife beaters, none of those things. Tayyib, what about a belt? Can you wear a belt? Yes. Why? Out of darura, out of necessity, you can wear a belt. Can you wear a watch? Yes. Out of necessity, you need to know the time. Can you wear a pocket that hangs, that you keep your passport and money and things? Yes. Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan and Shaykh Ibn Uthaymin and other ulama, they have said with dalail that these things are permissible out of necessity. Tayyib, can you wear a baseball hat? No. For the man, you will only wear the izar the rida, and you will have your head uncovered. Tayyib? No imama, no qulanswa, no shimagh, none of that. You cannot take cloth and put it on your head, take your izar, like we see all the people in ihram, they take their rida and put it on their head. No. Now, if there is extreme heat or some problem, and you take an umbrella, for example, nothing wrong with that. The umbrella, it shades you, but it doesn't touch your head. If it's extreme, you're going to pass out or something, those are unique situations, but don't misuse it. Tayyib? So the head should be uncovered for the man, not the woman. Not the woman. Okay? Making this clear. For the man, your head should be uncovered in ihram. A man should not wear shoes that cover the ankles. Tayyib? High tops, those kinds of shoes you cannot wear. You wear shoes that are low. Your ankles should be exposed. Some of the ulama, they said that the top part of your foot has to be exposed, but it's a weak understanding of the words that are used in the ahadith. What you have to do is your ankles have to be exposed. They should be like what we call slippers, or those shoes that are low in profile that are slipped on. You don't wear khuf. If you have nothing else and you wear khuf, you have to cut them so they don't cover your ankles. So you can get some walking shoes, slip-on shoes. They shouldn't be high tops, they shouldn't cover your ankles. This is the footwear for ihram. Tayyib. Can you wear socks? No. If you wear low-cut socks, there is jawaz, but best thing is you leave socks out of ihram, unless there is a necessity. What if you have some kind of infection or some necessity? That's a different situation. We're going to discuss the general rulings. If you have some particular situation unique to you, we can discuss that with me later. Tayyib. What about the woman? The woman wears any halal, proper Islamic garment. It doesn't have to be white. It doesn't have to be two pieces. The woman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy for them. They don't have that same restriction. But it has to be proper Islamic hijab, as she should wear anywhere. And you don't just wear hijab for ihram. You should wear the proper modest Islamic clothing everywhere. But especially if you're going for Umrah and Hajj, you should be very careful to make sure that it is modest clothing. The woman, she cannot wear a fixed niqab. Niqab is a piece of cloth that was known in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It would be not the khimar, which is on top. It would be a fixed piece of cloth, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbid this. Or gloves for the woman. She can wear socks, but gloves and niqab are not allowed for the woman. Does that mean she cannot cover her face? No. She can and should cover her face. As Shaykh Ibn Baz and Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen and others have discussed, from the hadith of Aisha radiyallahu anha, that she mentioned that when the non-mahram men would come close, we would cover our faces with our khimar. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was there. So obviously when he sees something, and iqrar al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he allows it, that means that this is sunnah. Tayyib? So for the woman, she doesn't wear a fixed niqab, but from what's actually called the khimar, nowadays people call it the hijab, from your cloth that's on your head, if you take a part of that and cover your face, this is what you should do. Tayyib? Because now, when you go, the non-mahram are going to be next to you. Now it's not like the old days where you'll be with your family, with your camels, making your own tawaf. No. Now you're going to be, a few inches away from non-mahram. So there is no way that they're not going to look at you, so you should cover the face. Can that covering touch your face? Of course it can. Some people do these strange things nowadays. They have a baseball cap. They get a brim and they put a cloth on it. And they say, because the cloth can't touch your face. Do you think Aisha radiyallahu anha had a brim? She had a baseball cap? How are you going to make sujood? Where did you get this from? Who said it can't touch your face? Which hadith, which ayah? No. Aisha radiyallahu anha says, we took our khimar, covered our faces, so take your khimar, cover your face. There is no problem with it touching your face. There's no dalil for saying that it cannot touch your face. And in fact, the strange inventions that people have today, where they have these elaborate hats and then the cloth hanging, the Sahaba didn't have this. And then you see the worst, you see them there, either they can't make sujood because they have a brim sticking out, or in salah then they turn it to the side and expose the face anyway, so what was the point? So these things are not necessary. This is some weird developments that somebody made somewhere. May Allah reward them for their niyyah, but this is not from the sunnah. Tayyib. For the woman, any color is permissible, but it shouldn't attract attention. You're not there to show off. You don't have to make a wedding dress type of a dress and put beads and all this. You're not there to attract attention. It should be simple. It should be with proper haya, yani your shyness, and you go in that sense. Now, when you are in a state of ihram, you cannot shave any hair or cut your nails. Yep. Cutting nails, shaving, cutting, trimming your hair, you cannot do in a state of ihram. When you finish your umrah, you will do it. You will cut your hair, and we'll discuss that in a minute. But can you comb your hair? Yes, you can comb your hair, but don't do it so harsh or in a way that it's going to start ripping your hair out where it could count as you're cutting your hair. Can you take a bath? Yes, you can. Can you wash your head while taking a bath? Yes, you can. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did, as Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiallahu anhu reports a sahih hadith, that in ihram Rasulullah washed his head, he took a bath in ihram. Some people say you can't wash your head because hair will break. No. You can take a bath, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did it, you can wash your head, you can comb your hair, but just be careful not to break your head. If some hair breaks unintentionally, nothing wrong with that. But if you're taking a brush and you're rubbing hard and you're ripping hair out, then you shouldn't do that in ihram. Tayyib? Obviously, Jam'a bayna zawjayn is not allowed in ihram. I'm not going to need to go into detail with that, or other things that regularly may lead to something like that. Tayyib, you cannot get married in ihram. Right? If you do it before ihram or after ihram, there is jawaz. But inshallah, during ihram, you cannot do the nikah and things like this. You cannot hunt in ihram. I don't know what you would be hunting for in Mecca nowadays, but this is a ruling. You cannot hunt in ihram. You cannot kill things in ihram, except for that which is dangerous, as mentioned in the hadith, for the scorpion and the snake, which the ulama, they take a general ruling. So, for example, when I was in Hajj in 2000, there was a mosquito and I killed it. I was like, oh man, I killed the animal. So I went to the ulama. They said, because this is dangerous, it's something that spreads disease, malaria and all these things. If you did it, there's nothing wrong with this. So like that, if there is a spider that could bite you, or a scorpion or a snake or something harmful, you can kill it. But if you see ants or you see bugs, don't kill them. You're in ihram. No cutting trees, no hunting. Now if somebody hunts and they bring something, you can eat it even if you're in ihram, as we mentioned from the Sahih Hadith during the Seerah Durus. Tayyib. When you enter Mecca, from the Sahih Hadith, it is mustahab to perform ghusl. Yani one ghusl when you put your ihram, but also when you're entering the city of Mecca, it's mustahab. Nowadays it's difficult because you're going in a bus, there's no place when you're entering Mecca and things. If you can, alhamdulillah, it's good. If you cannot, don't stress yourself out about it. This is something that is mustahab. Now, to enter Mecca from the northern pass, this is something that is from the Sunnah, but nowadays it's very difficult because you're going to be in a bus and you don't know which way they're going to be going. Now, when something is lost in Mecca, in a state of ihram, or otherwise, when something is there lost in Mecca, you shouldn't pick it up and take it unless you're returning it to the owner. Like you see somebody drop their wallet, you can give it to them. Otherwise, in Mecca, you're not supposed to take things that are dropped, and you cannot harm the trees or bushes. So even if you find nowadays bushes and things, don't stomp on them and things. Even though nowadays hardly any bushes there, but these are things that are mentioned with the ahkam of Umrah. Tayyib, when you enter Masjid al-Haram, I'm summarizing here. When you enter Masjid al-Haram, some people say you have to walk backwards and if you close your eyes until you see the Haram. All of this is bid'at. Look, don't do these things. You're going to bump into people, you're going to harm people, don't do this, okay? You enter the masjid from the Sunnah to enter from Bab Bani Shayba. Now, this is mustahab, and that is the closest Bab to Hajar al-Aswad, to the black stone. So this is mustahab, but any door you enter is fine, but this is something that's mentioned from the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When you enter Masjid al-Haram, like any other masjid, you enter with your right foot. You make the adhkar, you send the darood ala nabi, and things like you do in any other masjid. So those ahkam are not just for Umrah, they are for regular masajid. But what is different about Masjid al-Haram is that you do not make the 2 rakat tahiyatul masjid when you enter. What we know from the Sunnah, the tahiyat for Masjid al-Haram is the Tawaf. So the first thing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did is when he entered, he would go straight and perform the tawaf. So if you go to the Masjid Haram, you don't need to make 2 rak'ah like a regular masjid. Instead, as ta'zeeman for that masjid particularly, you go make tawaf. And that's why there is no tawaf in any other masjid. Alright, just letting you know. No other masajid. This Masjid Haram particularly. You go straight to the black stone and will begin the tawaf. You'll be facing the black stone itself. And there are some azkar and things inshallah that are mentioned mawqufan that we'll go over. Many azkar we'll go over when we are there. But for the sake of time, I'm not going to go over now. To face Hajar al-Aswad, to make takbir, also to add Bismillah with it. These are things that are mentioned in a hadith, and this is from the Sunnah. If you can, it's mustahab to go and kiss Hajar al-Aswad, or at least touch it when you go. It's very difficult nowadays. It's very difficult. Very important. Paying attention, very important point. It is mustahab. It is preferred to kiss or touch or make sujood on Hajar al-Aswad. It takes away your sins. There are hadith for it. It is fard on you not to harm your Muslim brothers and sisters. What's the greater, to harm a Muslim is haram, right? So if you're going to elbow people, push people, fight people, sisters, if it's fard on you to take care of your haya, of your shyness. If you're going to mix yourself where men are rubbing on you because you're trying to get to Hajar al-Aswad, you're doing the wrong thing. Okay? What you can do, just make ishara. Just point towards it. If you have a stick, Rasulullah even with a stick, he made ishara. It doesn't have to be like you're making salah. Just point towards Hajar al-Aswad, say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, and you begin your tawaf. Okay? If you are touching Hajar al-Aswad, you kiss your hand and touch Hajar al-Aswad, there is jawaz for this. But if you're not, don't kiss your hand. Everybody that goes there, no, you're not throwing kisses. It's not from the Sunnah. Don't do it. If you're going to touch Hajar al-Aswad, kiss it, make sujood on it, kiss your hand when you're to put on it, that's different. But if you're making tawaf from far and making ishara, don't kiss your hand. This is a bid'ah. Tayyib, you begin counterclockwise from Hajar al-Aswad. Your tawaf begins and ends at Hajar al-Aswad. You will make 7 circle tawaf. Tayyib, 7 times you will go around the Kaaba, beginning and ending at Hajar al-Aswad. So when you first make your takbir, make your ishara at Hajar al-Aswad, which is something special, that's something that came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It takes the sins, it became black from taking the sins of the people. This is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained. Then you begin there. You go around the Kaaba. When you're going around, there are 2 other corners that you will go around. There is also an area, the Hatim. And this is marked right now with like a half circle that keeps it. You cannot go through it. If you go through it, your tawaf is invalid. Because that is actually a part of the Kaaba, as we discussed earlier in the other dars. So you go around that. You don't need to touch the wall. You don't need to touch any other of the corners, except when you get to the last corner, Rukn, before Hajar al-Aswad. It's called Rukn Yemeni. It is from the Sunnah to touch it. It is not from the Sunnah to kiss it. It is not from the Sunnah to make ishara towards it. Please, because I hate correcting people when I'm there. When you're there, when you get to Rukn Yemeni, don't make ishara. Don't kiss it. If you can touch it, touch it. It is from the Sunnah to touch it. Tayyib. Now, while making tawaf, you cannot talk about useless things. You cannot talk about dunya. You cannot, because this is an ibadah. This is a salah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam called the tawaf a salah. So you have to be focused. You can't be FaceTiming and Snapchatting and caring. No, this is like as if you were in salah. Tayyib? Now, and that's why from the correct opinion of the ulama, you need wudu to perform tawaf. Wudu is necessary for tawaf. Tayyib. What azkar do you make in tawaf? There are, other than between Rukn Yemeni and Hajar al-Aswad, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. This is the dhikr that is mentioned in Sahih Hadith between Rukn Yemeni and Hajar al-Aswad. طيب? Those of us going, inshallah I will explain this there. If you are on YouTube or whatever, or Facebook, you can look at the kutub, or the Sahih Ahadith and dua, and look at the Sahih Ahadith, then you can find this dua. You should make this dua. The rest of Tawaf, we don't find khas Ahadith for their particular dua. Just make dua. Make dua from your heart. Make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make azkar. Don't get into this where one person is yelling and you're yelling behind them and you have no idea what dua they are making, but you're all yelling together. Don't do this. Keep some dua with you, any azkar, any dua you want, make him, or make your own dua. What is from the Sunnah, follow that. But otherwise we see these groups and one person is yelling and 50 people are yelling and nobody even knows the meaning, and they make, okay, here you have to say this, here you have to say this. Unless there is daleel, you cannot make up your own bid'at. Tayyib. When you get to the Hajar Aswad again, you have completed one. Again, you make ishara, if you can touch it, if you can kiss it, if you can make sujood on it, you do. If not, which you probably won't be able to, you make ishara, you say the takbir, and you continue your second. And your third, like that. For the men only. In the first three, you will jog. And this is not just like a jogging, but it should be in what was known in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the way of the wrestler. You walk with strength and vigor, and for all seven, you will expose your right shoulder. Tayyib? Jogging is only in the first three, and it's only for men. But exposing the right shoulder is in all seven of the tawaf you're making for Umrah, and it is again only for men. Sisters, don't expose your shoulder, please. And sisters, don't jog. Okay? If the brothers are there with their families and you cannot leave them by walking faster, you can jog in place kind of a thing while moving, but this is from the Sunnah. For the first three, you will jog in a vigorous, strong manner to show the strength of the Muslim Ummah, and for the brothers, you will expose your shoulder. You will go around from once around to the Hajar, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The seventh time, when you don't have to make ishara now, you're done, and you will exit. You will exit without harming people, without getting into fights and all these kind of things. You have to plan it out. Don't freak out in the end. Tayyib? Now, brothers, please pay attention. Please. When you're done with tawaf, cover your shoulder. Don't leave your shoulder exposed. Okay? Because after tawaf, and you can drink Zam Zam, and this is something beneficial when you're in Umrah, you will make 2 rak'at behind Maqam Ibrahim. What does it mean behind? You don't have to be right behind it. The maqam should be between you and the Kaaba. Even if you're at the end of the masjid. But if between you and the Kaaba is the maqam, you are behind Maqam Ibrahim. Don't start praying where people are making tawaf and now people are running into you. No, don't do that. Maqam Ibrahim, the place where Ibrahim ﷺ stood, and we know this place to be from Mutawatir Amali and from the books of Imma and Ulama, where his footprints are. It is not from the Sunnah to kiss it or to touch it. If you want to look at it, keep moving. Don't make special salawat, try to get there all day. No. But after tawaf, you will make 2 rak'at, as Umar radiyan has suggested and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained, behind, where the maqam is between you and the Kaaba, even if you can't see it. Even if you're so far back, you can't see it. Tayyib? You will make the 2 rak'ah. If you have your shoulder exposed in these 2 rak'ah, this is makruh. Covering the shoulders is something that you have to do in salah for men. Women, you should always have your shoulder exposed, covered. But if you make your salah with your shoulders exposed, this is makruh in salah, so please make sure you've covered them. After that, again, drink Zam Zam, as from the Sunnah. Zam Zam is something that's blessed. The du'as are accepted. The way you drink Zam Zam is not like regular water. The way you drink Zam Zam, you stand and you look at the Kaaba. If you're drinking Zam Zam at home, face the Qibla. If you're drinking Zam Zam there, don't sit. Regularly, it's mustahab to sit and drink water. For Zam Zam, it's mustahab to stand. You will stand, you will look at the Kaaba, and whatever dua you make will be accepted. Now, the method of acceptance, we know there is 3 types and all that, but it is definitely accepted. And the Zam Zam is for whatever you drink it for. Whatever you drink it for, this is what it's for. So if you make dua for Iman and Qur'an and Hifz and all of those things, this is what you will get. So make sure you drink a lot of Zam Zam and you make a lot of dua. This is from the things that is from the blessings of the Kaaba. Tayyib. Then you will go for sa'i. You will begin at as-Safa. And there are adhkar and dua that are from the Sunnah. We'll go over them when we're there. They're in the lesson as well. And you can get the books like Hisn al-Muslim, which mention the Sahih ones from the Prophet ﷺ, and you can make those. Tayyib. When you begin, نبدأ بما بدأ الله به. يعني this is something that you mention from when you begin on Safa, because Allah from the Qur'an mentioned Safa first. Safa and Marwa. You will make 7, but not 7 circles between them. But you will start on Safa and you will go to Marwa. When you get to Marwa, that's 1. Alright? Not all the way back to Safa. Not like the Kaaba where you're starting from Hijr, you're entering at the Hijr. Here from Safa to Marwa is 1. So Marwa to Safa is 2. On Safa you make dua, on Marwa you make dua. In the middle there used to be a bed which was a dried river bed, and here Rasulullah ﷺ again used to jog. Nowadays they have the green lights to let you know where it used to be. Today it's obviously all covered up. So here for the men it is from the Sunnah to jog. For the women it is not. And there are adhkar and dua we can go over to make there as well that are from the Sunnah. When you get to Marwa, that's 1. When you get back to Safa, this is 2 now. Tayyib. You go back to Marwa, 3. Back to Safa, 4. Back to Marwa, 5. Back to Safa, 6. You will end at where? Marwa. You start on Safa, you end on Marwa. That is 7. Tayyib. So it's not circular. 1 is 1. Back is 2 then. You will end on Marwa. After that, the only thing you have left to do is to trim the hair. Tayyib. I'm going to say this very clearly, and I want to make this very important note. Sisters, do not take your hair out in the Kaaba and start cutting it. Please. Alright? Or in Masjid al-Haram. We see many sisters there that start taking hair out. It's haram for you to expose your hair. Wait. Wait till you get back to your hotel. Wait till you get out. Wait till you get somewhere where it's private. And then cut it. And don't make a mess. When you go there, you see all this hair on the floor. People are slipping and you're harming Muslims. Don't do it. Why are you such a rush? Calm down. Go back. For the men, it is from the Sunnah the best thing to shave the head. Rasulullah ﷺ made dua for the one who shaves the head. Sahaba asked, what about the one who shortens it? Rasulullah again didn't even reply them, made dua for the one who shaves the head. They asked again, the 3rd time he made dua for the one who shaves the head. On the 4th time he said also for the one who shortens. So for the men, the best thing, you shave the head. Tayyib? This is one of the only times the Sahaba used to actually shave their head, is Hajj and Umrah and things. If they shorten it, this is permissible, but the best thing to shave it. Tayyib? For the women, you cannot shave your head. For the woman, you will cut your hair the size of one finger lock. So for example, you put your hair around your finger and you cut it that much from the different sides. And this is enough for the women. Do not do this in Masjid al-Haram in front of people. Go when you do it. For the men, if you come out, there are many barber shops that will do it for you. If you want to do it yourself at your hotel, that's fine. But, this is something, once you shave the hair for the men or trim for the women, your ihram is done. Your umrah is complete. You don't have to go to Muzdalifah, you don't have to go to Jamarat, you don't have to go to Medina. This is your umrah. I suggest you go to Medina because it's one of the 3 masajid, Masjid al-Nabawi, so you should travel for, but it's not a part of the umrah. Tayyib, this is your umrah. Inshallah, I'll stop here.